Welcome to the NEPA Scene Podcast. We're coming to you live from Cole Creative in downtown Wilkes-Barre. I'm Rich Howells. I'm the founder and editor of NEPA Scene.
I am John Popko. I work for Time Shamrock Communications with Rock 107, ESPN Radio, and Alt 92.1. And I am also the Saturday night host of Alt Natives on Alt 92.1 at 9 o'clock.
And we're here with the Keys owner, Jenn Sekelsky, and Great Lakes Brewing Company local market manager, Brad Beneski. That's a mouthful. Who's also a drummer in the Weezer tribute band No Memories and various local bands over the years. So I'm sure you've seen this guy behind the kit somewhere. So we're going to talk about the huge 3-day benefit that they organized called She's the One, a weekend for Doreen, for the family of Scranton singer-songwriter Ed Cuozzo of University Drive, Social State, Melded, who are actually reuniting that weekend. So it's pretty exciting. It's a massive lineup of local bands getting together in memory of Doreen on June 15th and 17th. We're also going to talk about the Keys has been around for 8 years from Monday. Monday, I think, was the anniversary. So that's pretty cool. The ups and downs of the local music scene. Lots of great stuff to talk about, and especially that everybody's all getting together for this big event. It's really cool, and it's kind of a once in a blue moon type of thing that this type of event comes along that brings this many people together and has different reunions, including Silhouette Lies, who you're sporting the shirt there. So there's plenty of stuff for us to talk about tonight. But we want to hear your thoughts as well. If you are interested at all in the local music scene, and if you're not, why the hell are you here? Please tune in for the full hour, ask questions and comments. It's much more interesting when you guys participate. So if you want to ask our guests anything, if you want to elaborate on anything that we're talking about, you want to give your thoughts, we would love to hear them. We will read them at some point in the show. So thank you for tuning in tonight. You could wait a week later and read it in print if you want. The exact same thing that we just talked about.
Already?
No names mentioned. So before we get into the interview, we have some beers to drink. What did you pick up from Beer Boys?
Well, I stopped down at Beer Boys on North Washington Street in Wilkes-Barre. And I got us the Heavy Seas Tropicana, Sierra Nevada Northern Hemisphere Wet Hop Ale, and a Goose Island IPA.
Nice.
Brad cannot have any. Two reasons.
Legally.
Mm-hmm.
2 reasons. He works for Great Lakes. Second, he's a scummy Yankees fan.
It's all right, because I have a red cooler here of stuff I brought, so you don't have to share.
Oh, so you just got cut out of that. Whatever he's got here.
I've already emptied that. He has no idea. But, yeah. So you can really not have this?
Oh, no, I can. Yeah,
okay.
I totally can. I just can't say it's good.
All beer is good if you're a beer promoter, right?
Yeah.
That's true.
What are we having first?
Let's see. I don't know. The Sierra Nevada sounds pretty good.
Okay.
Sounds interesting. Wet hop ale?
Wet hop ale, yeah.
Exactly sure what that is.
I don't know either.
Essentially,
Brad will know, yes. That's why we actually brought a beer expert on for once.
Yeah, for once, right?
So wet hop is essentially fresh hop. It is, well, actually not necessarily. So it's just that the hops haven't been pelletized and kind of like saved for later use. They're like fresh off the vine into the boil. So
That's neat.
It's like whole leaf wet hops.
Right.
What does that do to change the taste at all?
So you would suspect that it's going to be a little more flavorful, oily, resinous, kind of more fresh, essentially, instead of being pelletized and dried out and saved for later kind of thing.
Okay.
Isn't Sierra Nevada kind of known for their hoppy beverages?
Definitely. They make a lot of good beers. Actually, never mind.
Wow.
I'm actually a big fan of Great Lakes and the stuff.
We talked a little about
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I brought some of that whenever we're done with these.
Cool.
A couple of our new ones and an old one, and I brought Johnny some homebrew too if he wants to try any.
You gonna give some of that to a scummy Red Sox fan? This is like the second time we've had the rivalry on this podcast that I know of.
It's going to become a thing, I think.
Gerard had a good idea, like that. Freddie and I should do like a live podcast when the game is being.
Oh yeah,
that would probably be a lot of fun.
That is a great idea. It should just be you guys cursing and insulting each other.
Right, exactly. I think that's fun.
The Yankee game just started. Actually, we could probably get a feed going.
Yeah, isn't they playing end of the month or is it next week?
Sox Yankees. Yeah,
end of the month, right?
Yeah.
Typical Yankee fan doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, there definitely is a difference for sure.
Yeah. I haven't had this beer since they used to do it in like big 22-ounce bottles, but I haven't had it lately.
It doesn't feel like that or taste that dry hoppiness. It's I guess that makes sense.
I'll elaborate more on my beers. Sorry, I'm
All right.
going back a little bit.
All right.
Also, we want to mention that Beer Boys is live music on the weekends now with no cover and half-price happy hour every night of the week, 8 till midnight on Fridays and Saturdays, and 9 to 11 every other night of the week. And we also want to give a shout-out to the V-Spot, our other sponsor, one of the most popular bars in northeastern Pennsylvania with live entertainment every night of the week. This week they have Chris Milnew tonight, the Husty Brothers on Thursday, Barrel-Chested Beer Bellies on Friday. That's just every time that comes up, I'm like, that's a great band. The Wannabes on Saturday, and who are still kicking it. They've been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
And DJ Huff is hosting karaoke on Sunday, and our NEPA Scene Rising Talent Open Mic and Talent Contest has one more week to go. So if you're a musician or comedian and you haven't made it out yet, or if you want to do it one last time before we take a break and possibly do something else. I don't know if we're going to continue in this particular format, so this might be your last time to do that. So please come out this Tuesday. It was a lot of fun this week. We had a good audience and a good amount of talent. Some newcomers at the last minute, which was cool too. So hope to see them back next week. And then the final showcase is June 26th. So make sure you come out for that as well, because the door money goes right back into the prize money. So if you don't come to that, then all of that money is coming out of my pocket. So I would appreciate if you actually came. But the most important thing is to support the local artists, to actually go to their shows, which of course we're going to talk about. But please go to the finals on June 26th. It's going to be a great time. We're going to give away thousands of dollars worth of prizes. Some stuff that I'm really excited to give away to a local artist, and hopefully get a CD recorded or something like that. So it's going to be a fun night.
Did Brittany quit again?
I think so. I think
Brittany quit on us again.
Yeah, she's and then she'll be back in like a month.
She'll show up randomly.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm back.
You know what though? I'm going to keep using her face just to guilt her. You know, we have the coming soon screen that you saw with all our faces on it. We're just going to keep plastering her face on there to make sure that she shows up at some point. Maybe it reminds her that she's still on this show. I don't know.
We should like deface that though.
Like just draw like a little mustache
and a black eye, maybe. Yeah.
Every week we'll add something unless she comes back, and then it resets. When she comes on?
Can we work on that? Brittany's a quitter for the 10th time. What if she got in an accident? Like she said she was coming, and then she doesn't show up.
It's a terrible thing to think
What if she's not okay?
All you're going to think about all night, isn't it?
Then you're going to feel horribly guilty after the show's over.
She's got a phone. Just call us. You know.
Tune in by all means.
She probably is.
Yeah, you could.
She loves to do that too. Guys, I'm coming. Doesn't show up, and then you'll see.
And then she'll comment.
Yeah. Brittany, where the fuck are you?
All right, so let's get to it. We want to start about talking about your backgrounds now. We mentioned the Keys has been around for 8 years, but you've been bartending a lot longer than that. How long have you been bartending?
Yeah, well, even before the Banshee. Probably 15, 16, 17 years. I couldn't even tell you.
Wow.
2000, so 18 years, about 18 years. Yeah. That's terrible to say. I'm not old or anything.
You could almost serve your bartending career.
Yeah. Can't go to jail with it now.
Is it everything you hoped and dreamed it would be?
Sometimes. Sometimes it's even better than I could imagine, and then there are days where I'm like, why the hell do I do this?
That's every job, though, really.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess.
I think I've caught you on both of those, at least a couple times.
I mean, the good definitely outweighs the bad. I love it. I still have passion for it. The day that I stop loving it is, the day I'm done with it. But because of the bands and the artists and stuff like that, and that's what keeps it going. It's always something different. You never know what's going to happen or walk through the door or who you're going to meet, We've had bands from all over the world play the bar, and it's funny to me because it's just this little tiny space, and people are like, "Oh, I really want to play there." I'm like, "Oh, cool! Yay! Welcome to my 1,500 square foot box."
Yeah, shame on me. I've never been there before. I literally work a block down the street, or maybe 2 blocks.
Closer to a block.
It's probably a block, yeah. But I'm fat and lazy, so I'm not going to walk down there.
I have food.
Okay, now we're talking.
Taco night, that'll get him there.
Yeah, tacos.
No, but I heard everything. Gene Philbin did his pop-up shops there with
Yeah,
his
and he
with
just
his
opened.
food. Yeah,
he
right
had
across
his
the
grand
street.
opening, so he's
Yeah.
literally right across the street from us, and it's so cool to
Yeah,
see them finally doing it. And
so that
open.
section down there is really kind of blowing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Karen Dimitri should be open soon, so that's super exciting.
And who's that?
Karen and Dimitri used to own Jack's Draft House. Karen and I worked together at the Banshee for years and years and years. They're opening the spot that's being renovated right next to Harry's.
Oh, right.
The bar's going in there. I've seen a little bit of their progress, and it looks really cool.
Do you think that the more places that open up is better for you and your business, or do you see that as like a hurtful
I'd never,
thing?
ever look at it as competition. We're all in this together. People aren't going to stay at one place all night. People
Right.
like to hop around, especially in that type of location. We share our crowd with everyone else downtown. Mostly the Bog or the Ale House, Whiskey Dicks. We all kind of bop and come and go, And same thing, even when Karen and Dimitri are up on the hill at Jack's, we'd still share the same clientele. We're all in it together, and people need to start, I think, viewing business that way, doing it more as a community type of thing or a neighborhood type of thing, instead of being like, oh, well, screw those people,
I'm glad you answered it that way, because I actually asked it because I worked in the bar scene on the other side of the bar, not behind it like you have, but a lot of times bars that open up, it brings people in the same area, and they do hop around, so it's kind of neat, and I think it's a good thing
Yeah.
for the area and business in general.
It's fun,
Yeah.
and then I might not have something that everybody wants, and there are other places downtown that don't have what I have. So for us to be able to say, oh, hey, go check out these guys, they have steaks, or for someone to be like, oh, hey, our friend's vegan, they can't eat here, where can we go? And oh, then I get them, And it's even the same thing with like the music and stuff, being able to share our bands with each other, getting people out and, just moving around. And, if we could get 2 more people out in a night to see original music, it's exciting,
Well, I think you guys are one of the few bars in the entire area that really books almost exclusively original acts. It's very rare. Most places want cover bands.
Yeah. Growing up going to the cafe shows and going to like CC's and stuff like that, always going out and supporting the original music. Like, I never want to go out and hear a cover band, no offense, but I don't. If I want to hear it, I could put the 50 cents in the jukebox and play it myself.
It's at least $1.50 now.
Or whatever the hell it is. I'll throw on Spotify or whatever the hell.
Right.
And play it there, It's one thing for somebody to take and put their own spin on it. It's another thing to, just do that.
Just play a bunch of Weezer.
Well, that's different. You guys
Who covers Weezer? Like,
Well, you've also played in a lot of original bands too, so there's and that's the I think every time we talk about cover acts, we kind of have to give that little asterisk, like, we're not shitting on cover bands, we're not shitting on
not at
people
all.
who make a living doing that kind of stuff. It's just that obviously that music wouldn't exist unless someone gave an original band a chance in the first place, gave them airplay, gave them a stage to play on, whatever the case may be, for them to blow up to that level that other people are now covering them. So we have to have those outlets, and especially around here where I think there's this wealth of local music around here that's being created, and when you think about it percentage-wise, barely anybody in the area is hearing it because there's so few stages for them to play.
Well, that's the whole thing, with the most of the all ages venues closing, and now we have 2 new all ages venues opening. You're going to start seeing more of the younger kids writing their own music.
Right.
When I first opened, the first 4.5 years, it was just crazy. Everybody wanted to play together. Everybody wanted to work together. Everybody was out supporting each other, wanting to hear the music, and wanting to see what everybody else was doing. And then when the all ages venues kind of just fell off and closed, you saw that the younger bands weren't really coming up because they're like, well, we don't have anywhere to perform, but hey, we could play in a cover band and get paid a guaranteed X amount of dollars to go and play certain bars. So why am I going to waste my time writing my own stuff when I'm not going to get paid for it, or there's no place for me to perform it, or anyone
Sure.
to appreciate it, And now, the past year and a half, I've really been able to see more of the younger bands starting to come back through, more original bands wanting to play more, and it's exciting.
And I think your audience are the people who want to go to see that type of thing. You're not, I think a lot of people are worried, I'm going to book a band and it's going to turn people away because they're not going to like whatever it is. Whereas I think you're kind of doing the opposite technique there.
Well, and my crowd is mostly musicians and artists and comedians and poets and,
right.
We're the island of misfit toys, and that's the way we've always been. We welcome everybody. We're not there to judge you, We come in and have a good time. You go out to have fun. You go out to do something different. You don't go out to be miserable and sulk in a corner, I guess. I don't know. That's why my walls are bright and it's a little different than everywhere else. It's a little bit more inviting, I don't know. It's weird. I'm really awkward. I'm sorry.
I know you don't want to talk about yourself. I know, but you should get a pat on the back. Which we've talked about you many times on the show, so it's cool to have you on too as well. Give her credit for being on camera too, because she really does not want to be on camera.
No, I know.
Neither do I, but I'm here every week, so we got to do this. We got to get through it. So, I'm assuming, is it similar for you because you're behind the kit all the time?
What's that?
In terms of you don't want to, do you want to be out on the stage in front of everybody, or do you want to kind of be behind the scenes a little bit?
Yeah, I'm cursed to be such a good drummer that's all I could do. So I wish I knew how to play guitar. I'd be out there, but no. That's the only thing I ever learned. I actually bought a guitar as my first instrument. Actually, bought a guitar. I got a guitar bought for me for winning a geography bee. And then my best friend got a set of drums, and he got frustrated with those. I got frustrated with the guitar, and we pulled a Van Halen brothers kind of thing and just swapped. So that's how that got started.
So that was what age?
12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a whole lot better. not too much.
But you've played in a lot of local bands over the years.
Yeah, good amount. Yeah. My first ever band. So some people might be watching might have seen Philander back in the day. So we've been known to pack dance studios and Jessup beyond fire code. And then I was in a band called Horny Like Gilbert, which was MXPX, The Vandals, stuff like that. And then Shattered Sky, which kind of went more in the aggressive direction of pop punk, maybe
I remember Shattered Sky.
Yeah, some Census Fail, kind of Thrice kind of vibes, and then Melded stole me from Shattered Sky, and then Pull the Pin stole me from Melded, and as far as original music goes, that's kind of where I ended with Pull the Pin.
Okay.
But actually, I kicked around with American Six Gun from the Poconos, which was essentially the old Split 50 guys. I did a couple tours with them. We did a couple weekend Bayside tours and stuff like that. But so now it's kind of just, as far as original goes, me and my buddy Gidge and Matt Mang, who actually are 3/4 of the Weezer tribute band.
Right.
We're kind of actually working on some stuff right now. where, speaking of what Jen said, where like, people who are between writing originals because who wants to hear it, kind of that like, you're afraid no one does, and then maybe you just play covers instead. So we're kind of thinking about getting out, doing some covers, putting our spin on some Motown songs or something like that.
Okay.
And then kind of getting the original music through that avenue. Right now we're billed to be on the ECMC without a name, but we should be coming up with one. There's like, if you printed out the group text as to what our name should be, it's like a mile long. It's mostly men coming up with like crazy ones, and then me saying something stupid, and then Gidge saying whether they're crazy or stupid.
I think you just said your name without a name. That's
Without a name.
That's
Ooh.
the name.
That sounds a little butt rocky though. Like
That's true. You gotta watch what kind of impression
Yeah.
you give.
Isn't that what you like?
no,
Oh,
I didn't want to give that impression.
you are wearing a Yankees hat. I don't know what to tell you.
He's gonna keep slipping.
Yeah, oh
in
yeah,
there.
just like yeah.
The more I drink, too. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
So you go back a long time with that then.
Yeah, so me and Ed went to high school together. He was doing the Melded thing when I was doing other stuff, and I didn't get with Melded until after high school, but those guys were like in 9th grade and stuff playing. I was a year or two ahead of Ed. So then when I was in my first or second year of college is when they asked me to join, and did a good like 3-year run. A couple cool little weekend tours, this and that, some recording. It was hectic. That was a fun band to be in. It was, and I mean that's really where my admiration for Doreen comes from. Is that was where we always practiced, and she was always so amazing. Like always making sure like there was something up there food wise for us, or just honestly the biggest thing she's earned sainthood from putting up with that much of loud music for how long we did practice, because we would do like 4, 5, 6 hour practice sessions. It was crazy, and we were in this big high ceilinged garage where like this much between the kitchen floor and the ceiling of the garage, so it was loud.
Well, I think Doreen needs the credit that she deserves, because so many parents, I think, not only don't want to put up with the noise, but discourage people. Like once they hit a certain age, you're like, all right, when are you going to cut that shit out and get a real job and that kind of shit? You start hearing that stuff come through, and it's nice. She was always, every time we posted anything about Ed at all, she was immediately the first person to comment and be like, oh, I'm so proud of him and stuff like that. And it's so cool to see that type of love.
Yeah, oh yeah,
for what your kid is doing.
And before social media, that was the personification of her when you'd see her.
Yeah.
She'd be known to come to like, not basement shows essentially, because those were kind of rowdy, but like, maybe Cafe Metropolis or something like that, where you never really see parents there too much, but she would always try and swing in, or, it wouldn't be rare to see her, so.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's even more rare. All right, you go do your thing, but I'm not going to any of those places.
And that's why I think she put up with all the noise, because she really, saw Ed enjoying it and excelling at it, essentially.
We have a ton of comments. We should probably read a couple of those, get them out of the way, and then we'll swing back and read some more.
And while we're getting to that, we are now having a nice Goose Island IPA. Cheers.
Cheers.
This is quite
Good,
good too.
yeah. Courtesy of Beer Boys in Wilkes-Barre.
One of the original American versions of an IPA.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So do you like just go online and study beer? Or like
That was actually in I think the foreword of Mitch Steele's IPA book. So
you didn't have to read far to get that one.
yeah, no, which is good because I very rarely finish a book. So foreword I could definitely cover.
So when did the craft beer thing come in?
For me,
Yeah.
well, I went to school for journalism, and that was obviously, as you know, with newspapers were getting a little dicey, or you guys both know. And I tried getting into some kind of more steady stuff, but mostly did like weekly newspapers. I was with the Carbondale News, Moscow Villager, the Gatehouse Media, or whatever it is up that way. And then I wrote some beer. I did some beer columns for a handful of magazines. So I did one that was 203, I think, which is like the area code in Connecticut where this magazine was out of, like Hartford area. I did some magazine, like an online magazine based out of Chicago called like The Boosh or something like that, and a few other ones. And then, so I just decided I should just go with the beer thing, since that's the only thing I actually like writing about. So started actually in Wilkes-Barre as a warehouse supervisor with the Lion. And then after 4 months, I went over to the brewing operation side. I was a brewing supervisor for second shift for 2.5 years, and then went to Verastro to get on the sales side and out of shift work and dealing with unions and stuff like that. That was a lot. Especially second shift turned into first and second shift when a guy got into a accident. I was covering both for an entire summer. So getting on a 9 to 5 at Verastro was a godsend. That's where I met Jenn.
Yep.
I was her craft beer sales rep. And then
That's what I have you in my phone as too, Brad LT.
Brad LT, yep. And then after that, Great Lakes joined with Verastro 4 years ago, and I came home from the launch event at the Woodlands and told my wife that I wanted to work for Great Lakes. And then 2 years later, I got the opportunity, so it was kind of funny.
That's cool.
You just bought into the company too, didn't you?
So Great Lakes became one of the latest craft breweries to form an ESOP, which is an employee stock ownership program. So you're kind of looking at a part owner right now.
Cool.
Yeah. Which is actually just kind of like an advanced version of like a retirement plan. So we pretty much take ownership in how the company's the company's doing, and pretty much get percentage of the valuation of the company every year thrown into a retirement fund. I think is pretty much how it was explained to me, which is cool. It's awesome.
Are a lot of brewers like Harpoon? Is that the same way?
Harpoon does have an ESOP. So from what I understand, there are many different kinds of ESOPs. So yeah, we're Harpoon, Odell, New Belgium, and I want to say there's definitely some more. But New Belgium's really big. We're one of the bigger regional breweries. Harpoon's a pretty big regional brewery.
Where are they from?
Harpoon?
Yeah.
Vermont.
Got you, good fucker.
And Boston. They have 2 facilities.
I visit there once a year.
I've seen you checked in there a bunch of times. So yeah, that's pretty cool. It's and actually the owners of our brewery, Pat and Dan Conway, their father was an accountant, and he actually is known to have kind of been part of the first ESOP in Ohio, or maybe the country, or so like he kind of pioneered in that back when he was an accountant. So it's kind of cool for them to take it, and something they've been mulling over for the last 10 years or so. But kind of getting into where we are now as far as being on the brink of potentially maybe expanding our facility and stuff like that, or building a new one. It just kind of seemed like the right time to do it. So
Sure.
And speaking of which, the property we bought kind of scared me a little while. I thought we were moving to Scranton. We bought property on the Scranton Peninsula in Cleveland. So like I read the article, I was like, okay, Peninsula. So, but that's fun.
That's cool.
Well, I think that people miss the connection between beer, and especially craft beer, and music,
Sure.
and how these things kind of tie into each other a lot. I see all the time, and I think people they miss this, or they don't really pay attention to who's it sponsored by. They kind of turn their brain off, or they don't read the bottom of the poster. But so many shows are sponsored by beer companies and beer distribution companies and things like that too. So and that plays into what you guys are doing with this event as well.
So yeah, I mean, I just pretty much the connection for me would be like, there's all these big bands and kids who pick up a guitar or get a drum set for Christmas or something like that. They want to start doing that. That's kind of like what all craft breweries start at. They like beer, and they like people. They're like, I could probably do this too, and so they get a turkey fryer and a Gatorade cooler, and they start doing the same thing that aspiring musicians do, which is just suck at it until you're good at it. So, and then and a lot of breweries are started that way. Like speaking of New Belgium being an ESOP and them being one of the biggest in the country, I know they brewed their first year or so out of a basement, and now they're the 3rd or 4th largest in the country. And we started as a little brew pub in Ohio City in Cleveland, and now we're the 20th largest craft brewery in the country. So, so yeah, it's just kind of the always has to start from somewhere. So, right. And then yes, as far as just music and beer go, I mean, I don't have to explain how that goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
Sure.
So,
Bet you should probably read some questions.
Oh yeah,
Our audience is probably like,
they're
read
like
the fucking questions, dude.
Lisa Dietrich called us out by name and said thank you all for doing what you do for the local music scene. So Thank you to her. Tim Rixner, what's worse, Brad's sour beer face or his drummer face?
Or his hat.
Yep, definitely the hat.
The drummer face is definitely really bad. I hate my drummer face. Looks like I'm trying.
I think every drummer has one though.
Yeah, yeah. If you don't, I mean, you've worked to try to not to have one. Like you're conscious of the fact that you're not having one.
Let's see. John Mansavas, I'm probably butchering that, but he has some original music coming, he said, and he said you have a crazy beer selection, which is absolutely true. Every time I go, I'm always impressed by what you guys have on
We
tap.
focus on mostly local beer. Yeah, original music. That's where I'm at. We focus on mostly local. See? God damn it. Once more and I'm done. I'm not speaking ever again. We focus with the local craft beer scene, whether it's Nimble Hill or Ritter, Ironheart, which is Matt from Three Guys, Irving Cliff, Benny Brew, SBC, like all of those guys are all super cool with us, and that's what I try to keep on my draft line at all points, is as much local as I can get. Even our bottle selection, we focus mainly on craft. You could go anywhere and get a Miller Lite or a lager or whatever other beer, if you want to consider it that. Anywhere.
I don't, but yeah.
Yeah. You could come down and, not only myself, but my staff is also very good at being able to make recommendations. If there's something that you're used to drinking or something you want to try, we can always set you on the right path to something.
Sure.
Even with cocktails, like, you can go anywhere and get like a Long Island iced tea or whatever, but like we make our own sour mix, we do our own infusions and stuff like that, so it's just something different aside from like a rum and Coke.
Right.
I think today's society really like appreciates that. They don't want the
Most
pre-made mixes and shit. Yeah.
Right.
They want the
Or they go for the famous buckets.
Yeah,
that
the
you
buckets.
Guys have. You
Yeah.
guys have always have
32 ounces,
interesting.
bad decisions.
Yeah, if you want to, they're not shy with how much they're putting in there. So
We pour proper.
that's
According
for sure.
to one person who will remain nameless, that says somehow I like pour.
Yeah, one out of a million.
One out of
We're always
everybody
gonna
else.
get that though.
Everybody
Always.
was like, where are you going? Because there's not a chance. Like, my normal mixed drinks are a full pour, like an ounce and a half. That's,
Yeah.
pretty much how I was taught, and that's the proper way to pour a beverage, like, pour a cocktail.
Just
A
in
lot of
case any
places-
spills on the way there.
Yeah. Oops, in my face. But a lot of places will only do 3/4 of an ounce. Some even less than that, It's disappointing.
Special place in hell.
Yeah, seriously. Like some places that put wrong beer on tap lines.
Oh, we have a lot of shout outs for Philander.
Yeah, I told you.
Joe Caviston said, played my 7th grade dance. It was horrible.
That might have been his first booking. I think he was involved with getting us on that. It might have been the beginning. I actually was obviously the drummer. That's all I do.
Yeah.
But we started that set at his 7th grade dance with "Blind" by Korn, and I was known to sing that part while the singer played the drums, and that definitely happened. And that might be why he's thinking it was horrible, because it was.
Don't worry, Joe. You weren't going to score anyways.
I think we signed some boobs that night, Philander.
They got further than you were.
Christopher Sheeran says, Philander were my favorite local band.
Is that the dude from E57?
Yeah, I'm telling you, Philander. It was Club Millennia, which was a dance studio on the hill in Jessup. we had them at Code more than a couple times, and we were really bad.
I forgot that place existed.
That's where I peaked, so I can't.
Hey, at least you peaked.
Vinny said Jen is a doll. Hello, Vinny. He always tunes in at least for a couple minutes.
Vinny's awesome.
Russell says, thanks for letting me yell at your patrons and not kicking me out. For anyone who's seen Russell Austin's comedy set, it involves a lot of screaming in people's faces. So
The best was the first comedy show, like a traveling comedy show we did with them. And it was a Monday night. I didn't have the kitchen open. And I'm like, oh, guys, if you want food, just order out. And this poor kid comes into the bar delivering pizza. And Russell's sitting there screaming about this kid's ugly dick. And I was like, oh, this kid's scarred for life. He's never coming back. He's just quitting his job. That's it. It's done.
right.
Still my favorite Russell moment.
Yes, Russell's famous ugly dick joke got us kicked out of the backyard ale house. So.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, that's what did it. That was the line that most bars will not cross. So Jen is kind enough to
It's art.
to cross
Who
it.
cares? Like,
I agree.
you're
I
not
agree.
hurting anybody. If you're
2018
Exactly.
now, though. People get offended by everything.
two
Yeah, that's
pride
true.
flags in my bar that have been there since the day I've opened.
And you know what?
And
Someone,
people were like, why is that there?
I was
Why
watching.
not?
To which I say, why are you questioning this? Like,
That's
why?
usually when I just tell them to leave.
Yeah,
Right. No, that's good.
That
I was
bothers you,
watching.
bye.
Yeah.
exactly.
I was watching Talkback 16 before I came here tonight.
Oh, no.
What is
That's-
up with
that's
the
terrible.
roads?
No, the pride flag outside the courthouse.
No, it wasn't that. No, it was. Of course, it's men calling in, and Miss American pageant's getting rid of the swimsuits. What are we gonna watch now?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like,
Oh, my God.
like, yo, creep, dude. Like, make redtube.com. Like, I don't know. What
It's all free.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're aware. There's this thing called the internet.
it was so bad. It was
Google
like,
whatever your heart's desire.
2 or 3 guys like I'm not gonna watch this anymore because there's no swimsuits. Like, and the guy went into detail like, I'm not trying to be a pig or anything, but like there's nothing wrong with seeing a nice looking girl in a nice bathing suit and blah. It's like, dude, like that sounds creepy as shit.
See, I
I
always
just
watch
don't-
it for the talent section, so I'm still
Absolutely,
I'm still with you.
absolutely. Jesus Christ, unbelievable.
Oh, Raph from Silhouette Lies.
Yay, Raph.
He he says his love for everybody in the room and complimented your shirt. Stoked to be a part of something so incredible. It's such a great place. Sean O'Day says, ask Brad to sing Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus. Is that your thing?
Well,
Is
Miley
that your-
Cyrus is a shit.
So yeah, that's a story. That was
Okay.
every year we go up to Boston. This is, I
It's
wear,
a great place.
and I wear this
Yeah.
up there.
I
Actually,
hope you get beat up.
before I sang Wrecking Ball, I sang New York, New York. But anyways, so we were all picking songs. It was after a beer festival, so we were feeling zero pain, and went to this really divey. I don't even know how we got there, but it was the most amazing divey. Like you could tell, it used to be something back in the day. It had like round booths that were leather and stuff, and circular tables in the middle. It was swanky for its day, probably. But so we kind of dominated. I think maybe like in about 4 hours, 4 or 5 other people might have put a song in. So we
Yeah.
did about 95% of it. And I ended my night with a screaming version of Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus. And it's on YouTube. So have
Oh,
fun.
is it?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's Sean put it on YouTube. So it's me screaming Miley Cyrus Wrecking Ball.
I'm sure people are now leaving the stream to go look
Well,
that
yeah,
up
just
right now.
do it later. If you stay on the stream, I'll provide the link in the comments.
Okay, cool.
I need this in my life.
We can't go anywhere.
So, we want to talk about the event itself and organizing this, because I know as well as you guys know, working with artists is like herding cats, and working with this many artists is like herding cats with like a rabid dog in the middle, like driving.
You would be
so-
amazed. This is a lot easier
I was gonna
because
say,
of
yeah.
Ed.
Yeah,
If this was
honestly,
for any
yeah.
other reason, it
Yeah.
would be a shit show. But because of Ed and everybody loves Ed, everyone's like, cool, whatever, we'll do whatever you need.
So
Like, what
yeah,
the fuck?
so it hasn't happened yet. That's important to say. But
Right.
getting people's attention and interest because it's Ed was incredibly easy. In fact, we got the interest of so many people heard of it, and more came to us. So to the point where I'm pretty sure we got everybody in.
Well, there were a few people that we,
Right.
we couldn't fit in. It's
But for that, we have an
30
open
plus-
mic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
30 plus performers in
Yeah.
like 2.5 days. It's gonna
Yeah.
be crazy.
It's amazing, yeah. So yeah, it was initially, I kind of still have my ear to the music scene a little bit, the local scene, but with Jen's help and Ed's help, just kind of got like what would be the perfect lineup, and I'm pretty sure that's what we got. Like, no, like I don't really remember anyone saying no. I mean, I maybe threw some things out there and people didn't get back to me. Facebook had some glitchy messaging going on when I was doing this, by the way, so.
We also have to say that, like, we didn't mean to exclude anybody.
Right.
There are some people I know who are like, oh, how come we weren't asked? But really, there's only so many hours and so many bands we could do at once. That, maybe this is something we could turn into a yearly event.
Yeah.
And make it into.
And then that Sunday, like we said, we specifically have like
A couple hours
a couple
just for
hours of
people to
open
jam.
mic. So if anyone wants to come and be part of it, it's easy enough to come bring a guitar, whatever you do, come partake in the open mic on Sunday. So, which I think is a cool way to let everybody in, and
Everybody could chill, hang out, have a good time, and what it comes down to, it's not for anything else but
Right.
for her memory and for Ed and the family.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not a popularity contest. It's not who do we like more. It's
Yeah.
the main reason.
And I think I don't want to embarrass Ed too much, but I do have to compliment his singing and his songwriting so much. I think he's and I've said this before. I think he's one of the best songwriters in northeastern Pennsylvania, hands down.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And I think he's put out an impressive catalog of music in such a short amount of time. Through several different bands. So I think this kind of speaks to the impact that all of those bands combined, including solo stuff and everything else, that he's had on the community.
And speaking of that Sunday, he's going to be the last actual build artist that day on Sunday, and that's just comprehensive Ed Cuozzo, anything from Melded, University Drive, in between, covers he wants to do. So I think that's going to be honestly, that's probably going to be one of the performances you really don't want to miss. So
Yeah.
Sure.
That's just going to be fun. And then just speaking to like his songwriting, I've had I've been honored and lucky enough to actually be in a band with him, be in a couple bands with him, or actually just one. But I'm playing in University Drive to fill in for his drummer who can't make it.
Yeah.
And so that's when I really started diving into the University Drive stuff, and it's just crazy to like, I know the Melded songs like the back of my hand, but then like hearing, what he's turned himself into as a songwriter is just insane. Like those
Right.
songs are so good.
Yeah, I mean, I came in as a fan when he was doing Social State,
Yeah.
and interviewed him a couple times and did that. And so when they were breaking up, I was like, oh no, yet another great band in this area that's going to be gone and stuff. But he just came back with University Drive so quick, and it was like, wow, this is fucking great too.
Yeah.
But it's each project has its own sound and its own influences and things like that too, which that's hard to do too.
Oh,
A
yeah.
lot of times I think people go from band to band and they kind of try to make it sound like, all right, this worked, so let's do this again. And
Yeah.
stuff. But he really kind of stretches his creative muscles.
Yeah, I mean, back in the Melded days, it was definitely more of that raw Nirvana, punky kind of.
Sure.
I'd say it was like a mix between like Nirvana, Weezer, and a little bit of Motion City because we had Eric on the synth and everything like that. So kind of like lighthearted in that aspect too. And then like the stuff he's doing now is just, it's got. I mean, you definitely hear the influences, but just hearing how much he's turned into like his own sound is just really cool. So.
And I think you guys have hosted his various bands many, many times.
They used to practice at my bar every Sunday and Monday.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I'm not using it. Let them use it. My favorite things would be walking in on a Sunday and he'd be sitting there like in the middle of writing a song, and I'm like, I'm just gonna sit here and like love my life a little more,
Yeah.
Ed's amazing. He really is, and I know so many of the younger artists actually look up to him, the younger musicians and stuff. He's very influential in the whole music scene around here. I was lucky to meet him in a Social State. I was lucky to be able to not only work with him on a professional level, but also to be able to consider him, a friend and like part of our little family too. That's the way most of the scene is, though. Our crew scene guys, I guess. Kids.
Yeah, we always have the artists on the show and talk about their creative process. I think it's interesting from our perspective too to see them develop as artists and watch them grow and watch the art go from like a couple of scratches on a piece of paper to a full blown song on a nice recording in a studio and stuff like that. And there's something great about being part of that experience. And I think that part is just as important as the stuff that comes out at the end of the day. Whether it's the venues that are hosting them or our end of like listening to it and getting it out there to people and trying to turn people on to new ideas and new sounds and stuff like that too. I think it's such an important part of the process that I think people miss.
Yeah. Yeah, not everyone gets to have the experience like we do. Like we're extremely fortunate for that, whether it's the songwriting or the performing or the interviewing or just being able to be part of watching them practice or perform like their first show ever. And it's like, seeing them nervous and seeing them, throughout the whole span of it. It's like the lucky part of life, It's
Behind
like,
the scenes.
Oh, I remember when you were so little and so nervous.
Ed will always be nervous no matter how good he is.
Yeah, he's so humble. He really is. He stops by occasionally to do open mic, and he's like, "Oh, I don't want to take up any more time." I'm like, "Screw everybody else, just play. I miss my Sundays with you. Like, play for hours. No one's gonna complain."
I think that's so important to remain humble as well. I think a lot of artists, they get kind of too big for their britches and they get these egos about
Like
them.
Steve Warner.
He came to our open mic last night.
I know, I watched it. He called me this morning. He's like, "I left the bar and I went over to the V spot to go play." I was like, "Okay." He's like, "Yeah, I just grabbed 2 random people to play with." I'm like, "Awesome, Steve." He's like, because I'm just the best. I'm like, this is my life. I love him. But you guys always have such a great turnout for that. I like being able to watch it the next day because I'm stuck at the bar every Tuesday.
Right.
So me coming down doesn't happen, but to be able to watch it the next day and be like, "Oh, look at this," and that even helps me or anyone else that wants to book a band be like, "Hey, what could they do?"
We've had a lot of people that have gotten booked just from showing up and playing the event and stuff like that too. And going back to what we were saying about watching artists develop, I've seen that so many times too, where people have come to the open mic, it's their first time on stage or they haven't done a lot of shows and stuff like that, and then watching them develop over weeks and months and in this case years, because we've been doing this a long time now, and seeing the artists kind of come into their own thing. It's weird to think about. It's like we'll be 4 years old in October, and I'm like, oh man, it blew by so fast.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
You're like, it just started. How old? Wait, what? Where did that time go?
I think I was really
But then
drunk and I gave you your first SMA, the Steamtown Music Award.
That's right.
I saw you pull out like a big thank you thing. I'm like, good thing you won, man. That's a lot of work on that. Thank you.
Who else was gonna win? Come on now.
That's true.
That's because I think it's very important, like we said, to stay humble and thank everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Whenever I post on social media as an NEPA Scene, which is pretty much always me whenever you see anybody posting anything on our page.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty much always me and not all of the other contributors, but I always say we, and I think that's so important to not say I and mine and whatever, because it's all of ours.
I know
we're
someone who
all
does
contributing.
that,
Oh, I know quite a few people who do that.
though. I know about one in particular.
You want to say, so.
I'm not going to say. I can't.
Just put one more in him, and he'll
We
say
got a lot more than one
I
more.
was going to say we should pull those out before before the clock.
Maybe
runs
we
out.
should get some more beer going on.
That's a change of subject. But like good example. We had a rapper come the last few weeks, and I thought he was very it's not my type of music, but and it's certainly not always the type of audience that we get. But he would do very well. And this week he was really frustrated. Like last week he was really frustrated because he didn't feel like people were paying enough attention to him or whatever. And he wasn't going to come back. And then he came back and he did a song without any accompaniment. He just did it a cappella. and he took a lighter and drummed with the lighter as the beat, and everybody paid attention, and everybody, like, by the end of his set, people were singing along to his original songs that they had never heard before, and he felt so good about himself. And it's those types of moments that are
that's
really
what
great.
makes it like.
But it takes him not giving up. The point, he was ready to give up that last week, and he came back the next week, and he did really well. So it's important for people to not get frustrated and to have those, venues like yours that actually will pay attention to those local artists and say, hey, come back and, do another gig and that kind of thing and get better. I think, E57 is a great example. Those guys are always at the bar, and they get better every time. Every time I see them, they're like, oh, yeah, those guys are really good, And I think they get better every time because they have a place to play all the time.
All the time. I don't even book them and they show up. No, I love the guys. They're all cool. But I mean, that was the same thing with all the other bands too. It's, all of them coming up. Blind to Passenger that was there all the time, So it's not as much.
Sure.
But, whoever wanted to play constantly, even Sucker or,
Yeah.
oh God, there were so many of them, Days in Transit, and it's crazy. I found my original booking book from 2010, and just seeing all the bands that played, I was like, wow, like I remember this show, I remember that show, I remember having this conversation, and then looking at where they are now, and it's crazy. Like it's really cool,
Your little place has probably booked more bands than some of the bigger venues around here.
Yeah,
Right.
we go through at least, you figure 3 to 4 bands, probably at least 6 bands a weekend.
Wow.
I mean, and that's, I'll book a band, I'll be like, hey, bring whoever you want in. We had the Samurai Pizza Cats in from,
That's awesome.
they were so
Good.
good. They were in from Long Island, little ska band, or not little, there was like 9 of them.
That's
And they
definitely
were
a ska
super
band
cool.
name.
Oh, it was awesome. They were so good. They reached out to me, and super cool, and we've had Hellbound Glory, who is from Reno, and they ended up, after they played the bar, like their next tour that they did was opening for Kid Rock, playing all around, which I mean, whatever, but
That's
they
Senator
were
Rock.
awesome.
Senator
Like,
Rock.
yeah. It was, we had a band in from Germany. We've had bands in Deaf Poets from Miami area. We've had bands from all over. It's pretty cool,
Yeah.
And then I suck with email. My phone doesn't work pretty often, but there's a million more bands that want to play, but it's hard to get the original bands in from out of town. 'Cause
Right.
unless you get them on a show with like the local bands, you can't really guarantee to draw because
Right.
people don't want to take the chance. They'll traveling broken out of gas. They were super cool, and they usually play the bar whenever they pass through. They're ones that we try to always get on a show with somebody else. The first time they played, everyone was like, "Oh, I don't know." By the second time, third time they're playing the bar, they heard about how awesome they were, and people, still come out for it. So once you play once, then people get to know you. People are just afraid to take a chance, I guess.
That's how
Right.
Cafe Metro used to do that. They would actually have the local guys finish up the show.
Yeah.
And the touring guys would actually be like second or third to last.
That's the best way to do it. Put them
Yeah.
in the middle, because you get, a strong opener and a strong closer, and people are going to stay for the band that they don't know.
And thanks to
Right.
that, I could say that Gym Class Heroes opened up for Shattered Sky.
There you go, claim the fame. Is that a vision you had when you opened the bar?
So, yes. When I opened my bar, it was really weird. I had a lot of people telling me, don't do it, don't take the chance, don't, just go and keep working for where you're working. And I was like, no, I want to do my own thing. I loved the Banshee. Still to this day, I love the Banshee. I love the girls I worked for. I loved everyone I worked with. They're all still family to me.
I missed the Banshee.
Me too.
I was lucky enough when they did the Banshee night at the AV to be able to guest bartend there.
Oh, that's
It was
right,
bringing back all those memories, I grew up there. I was just a little pup when I started there, and that's where I learned everything, and that was the first taste of knowing what I wanted to do, and even with them, all they booked was Irish music. They didn't stray from that, well, up till the end, and then they were booking a little bit of everything, which was cool anyways, but that's all they booked. So you'd always go in there and you know what to expect. Right. And there were some guys that wrote their own stuff, like Nabodok from down the line a little bit. They're super cool, and they were like one of my favorite bands to ever watch. I'm trying to get them to come play the bar, but I think my bar's too little. Anyways, I'm getting off path here. So when I first opened, everyone's like, "Oh, you're not gonna make it. Just do it. Like, go work for somebody else." I'm like, "No,
right.
This is my place. This is my chance to do something to show what I can do." And when I opened up and I was like, I'm going to let people come in and do their art on the wall and not be like, "Oh, well, you can't do that because of whatever." No, like my creative space is behind the bar and in the kitchen. That's where I do my weird fucked up shit. You want to do your weird fucked up shit on the wall?
Yeah.
You want to make music to it. You want to do poetry or comedy or whatever.
Scream at delivery
person. That poor kid. It was one of the best moments of the bar ever. It was great. It was magical. But yeah, like as soon as I started booking bands, Mike from Kids on Bikes, he was one of the first ones I booked. And B-Rad and Dana too. They were the first people to ever play my bar, and they did their own thing. B-Rad is one of my dearest friends, and Dana's super cool. They used to be in a band back in the day when they played when they went to school at the university. But like, why do I want to give my little spot to somebody who could go and play everywhere? Like, come in and create in my space. Come in and do you, enjoy it and be weird with me, I like weird. I don't.
My favorite saying is "Let's get weird."
Yeah.
I think it's on my.
Get weird.
It's on my Facebook. It's on my Instagram. I think it's.
Yep.
I got shirts made with it before.
With your face on it.
Yeah, before the fucking shirts popped up in OCMD. Let's get weird. I should.
This close.
I should. I had it.
I miss those days though. Like, I grew up at the Cafe Del Sol.
Yep.
I miss the going out and seeing the local bands, like the original bands.
Speaking of winning a geography bee, I gave away my geography medal to people at Cafe Del Sol. I forget why.
There's so many people I probably
Cafe
have
Del
known
Sol.
from the cafe days that I don't even realize.
Where was that? Where was I?
Up by the university.
It's a parking lot now.
Yeah,
isn't
it's
it?
gone now.
Or
Yeah,
it's
it's
a dorm.
Completely
either one.
level.
Yeah, it's up past the Green Frog or whatever it used to be. The Green
okay.
Frog.
Yeah.
I have the weirdest memory from there because it was a comic place next door that sold comics and like random shit, and I was such a misfit that I walked in there and I was like, I don't even fit in here. There's so many weird people here, and I should fit in here, but I don't. So I went next door, and I'm like, comics. All right, this is what I know. Me being alone with comic books. And I got a copy of Giant Size X-Men #1, which is a very rare comic book for any of the geeks out there who know what I'm talking about. Actually, funny enough, I'm wearing the shirt that has the cover of it on there.
Wow.
Were the pages stuck together?
So yeah, well, it was in really shitty condition, but especially these days they would have paid a lot more for it. I paid $28 for that, and I still have it to this day, and it's like my prized possession that I got from that place.
That's awesome.
So that's my weird memory of it.
That area.
So yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Del Sol was strange.
It was
They
a
had
weird
It was,
place.
and everybody got along. Again, Island of Misfit Toys.
That's true.
Well,
it was
almost
very
everybody
much
got
so.
along.
Well,
There were a couple of-
bands played in 2 different areas depending on what was right. There was when you first walked into the left, and then there was
There was that upstairs
yeah.
area, right?
We were playing there with Half a Lemon High, and I don't know if you remember those guys at all. And then Once More Over, the Montrose area. I still know some of those dudes. Placo from Felix Sarko was on Once More Over.
That's right.
Yeah, remember that show?
I just got recently back in touch with him because
Oh, yeah?
he's back. He's back in.
Yeah,
the
he's in
area.
Scott Township. Placo,
Yeah.
what's up? I actually me learning that he was back in the area was running into him at the terminal in the Avoca Airport. and I see he was sitting across from me.
Sarko was my first, and I know Ed was a huge Felix Sarko fan too, because before I even knew who he was, I'd see him at the shows and stuff, and they were the first band that made me understand that local music is awesome and that I should be paying attention to this.
Those guys were insane.
Because I would drive all over the place. As soon as I got a car, the first thing I did was go to like the Croc Rock and stuff like that to go to see shows and stuff, because it was like the cheap place to go see shows. It wasn't the best venue in the world, but they got the bands that I wanted to see, so I'd drive there all the time, and not paying attention to the local music scene at all. And I saw Felix Sarko in college. Like I met Placo before they had actually formed. Like he was like working. He was in the
infancy of it.
Yeah, it was. He was playing in the dorm, like one of those electronic sets where you can only hear. So he wasn't disturbing everybody else. I'm like, what are you working on? He's like, oh, this is weird band. I don't know how to describe it and stuff like that.
I still don't know how to describe
it. All right, that's great. I want to hear whatever that is.
Oh, man,
and he's like, oh, my first show is then. I'm like, I'm going to be there. And I went and I was like, holy fuck.
I don't think I ever missed one of their shows. Like, the music was insane, and then just watching those guys do what they do was ridiculous.
So we probably passed by each other 100 times and didn't know each other.
Speaking of Marywood and Placo, you're saying?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I think he might have been roommates with one of my childhood friends, Jim Torrey.
Yeah,
which maybe you know Jim.
Sure.
So like maybe like the Marywood days even cross paths there, because I'd be over at Jim's house playing poker and stuff like that.
I unfortunately went to Marywood, so yeah. That was probably the only good thing that came out of that godforsaken school.
Clearly they're not a sponsor.
Oh, well, they're great then. They're a wonderful place.
They were this close to sponsoring. Jesus.
Speaking of sponsors, we had the Heavy Seas Tropicana, and now we're drinking
my beer,
Brad's beer.
I made
which
this.
is actually really good.
Oh, is this the one with the peppercorn?
Yeah, so it's saison with black peppercorn, sea salt, lemon zest, and ginger. So there's also basil in there, but it doesn't come through.
Yeah,
so
it's really good. I'm not just saying that because you're here.
Oh, I know. You're definitely not trying to be nice at all.
You made that clear from the beginning.
Well, I like to, I'm very upfront.
Yeah.
That's right.
There's no jokes here.
So yeah, speaking of making this beer, he's my partner in everything creative. Is Gidge is my brewing partner too. So every time he comes up, we set aside like 5-6 hours and brew beer. So
when did you start brewing beer?
2006.
Okay, so a long time.
Yeah, so I've been brewing for a while. I always wanted to talk about starting this or starting that. But.
Yeah, my buddy and I, Matt Jenn back in the day, 2010, we started brewing our own beer. Yeah. And that was just more of a fun thing.
Yeah, it's economic.
But yeah,
but
it was like
$40
I wish
like a sixtel.
I wish we would have kept doing it, but yeah. Woulda, shoulda, coulda.
There's that.
Yeah. Here I am.
We had a few people who remember Sarko. Cavison, of course. Bob Hannon, Felix Sarko was my first favorite local band. Mine as well. Eric Foster, he said they inspired Melded 1,000%. They were the reason I bought the synth I still own and use.
Does it work?
Yeah, are you coming?
Is it gonna work?
Do we have to come get you?
Yes, Eric, if you need a ride, we'll drive all the way down. We will send somebody. We'll make it happen. Would love to see him again. I haven't seen him in a while. He said, Christopher Sheeran said, my band in high school, Flanagan, opened up for Shattered Sky. So we opened up for a band that Gym Class Heroes opened for.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's what you put on a resume right there.
And then I ran into Travi in Hyde Park or Poughkeepsie, New York. They were on a tour with like Fall Out Boy, Academy Is, and someone else. And he remembered me, and he was my voicemail greeting for about 2 or 3 or 4 years, but he cursed in it a lot. So when I was trying to get a job after college, I had to get rid of it. Which I could have kept it for a little while longer because I didn't get a job very quickly.
No, you never do. Thanks, fucking Marywood. No, anyway.
Thanks, Penn State. I know, man. When they send me alumni stuff, like, I'm gonna give you more money, really?
Dude,
that's the worst. That is the absolute worst.
I hope I don't like eat my words here, but like King's College has not asked me for a fucking dime in
Wait,
13
they will
tuition?
right now.
Well, no. I paid
I was gonna
tuition.
say I should have went there.
I'm still paying that shit off, but they have not
Oh, yeah,
asked me for
for sure.
an extra dime since I finished in 05. Yeah, don't fucking think about it. Don't do it.
That's like someone like robbing you and being like, "What's your
I
email
want-
address
I
in
want-
case I want to do this again?"
I want more. Yeah.
Where do you usually
I
hang
just
out?
stole thousands of dollars. Do you have an extra dollar I can have? Like, really?
I just robbed you, and I just realized, I'm at a meter. It's about to expire.
Yeah,
I plan on
right.
robbing more people.
I need gas to
you
get to
could
the
toss-
next robbery. If you can help me out, maybe you could be my fucking driver. I don't know. Jesus Christ! What a fucking riot!
Man, I haven't cursed once because I wasn't sure if I could. Well, I knew I could, but I wasn't
told
sure.
we could, but-
Yeah, they told us we could, but
Oh,
Finish
yeah,
that beer.
You definitely can. Yeah, we gotta get to some Great Lakes.
Yeah, we'll pop that now.
because we gotta wrap up soon.
Yeah, we gotta wrap up.
So, yeah,
yesterday.
Yeah. And Bob Hannon also added, I'm so glad you decided to take the risk and open the keys. It's a given up place for misfits where we can feel comfortable and at home. And Eric Foster said he'll be there with his half-broken synth in tow.
Good. That's
Good.
commitment. There's proof that he's coming.
Speaking of which, I do want to plug some of the bands that are playing
Yeah.
this event.
Yeah.
There's some really, really good stuff. You
Insane.
guys have put together probably the best lineup I've seen in years.
it is. It's like I said when we said these are all the people we wanted,
Mm-hmm.
and then a couple weeks later we're like, we have them all. It was kind of like,
Yeah.
wow,
You're like, oh
and
shit.
just like a testament to whether it's just Ed's personality or his reputation as a musician. That's what made it easy because, like you said, it's typically not.
Right.
So yeah, that was really, really cool. That Friday night, like I said, is bulletproof. Like that Friday night is just nuts. Like it's insane.
Yeah, it starts at 6 and it goes straight through.
Yeah, I mean you have
mean-
Keep Flying, who are really good friends of mine from my Stroudsburg Pull the Pin days. They used to be.
I was
Survey
wondering
Says.
how they got involved.
Yeah, yeah.
They're
they
very
played
they're
the bar
very good.
before too.
Yeah, they have. Yeah. So
Those
those
rock
those guys are
concerts
coming
the
off
other
a tour from like they're I know they're gonna be up in Canada and all this stuff, and they're coming. That's actually the last day on their tour.
Great.
It just happened to work out that was the last date of their tour was the day before, so they can kind of finish up with us. Ion Attraction, those guys are awesome. They're coming off a tour with All the Remains. It's
Yeah.
insane. So and then Estacota, University Drive, Silhouette Lives reunion, Shared Light solo, which Mike's just getting all that
Is
going
it
off the ground.
Permanence too?
Permanence, yeah.
Right.
That's
Because we love Dan King.
yeah. So I mean that show alone.
We may be premiering new music from them soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that as well.
And then Saturday, just everything. You start with some acoustic guys. It builds up. Then as far as atmosphere and noise. There's a little break in all the action, whether it's
Sure.
kind of more chill or more intense. And then you got the Melded reunion, Pull the Pin reunion. You got Fire with Friends, which I don't think they've played in a while, right? So
Yeah, Fire with Friends
no,
has
it's-
definitely been
and then
a long
That's
time
the
since we've
first
seen
thing
them
we got on
last.
today.
For sure.
but that's gonna it's
They
gonna,
were probably the second local band that I got
Yeah.
into. Like after Sarko, I discovered them not too long after.
It's looking like it's gonna be a solo. It's gonna be Dan Rosler, who's an amazing human being.
Yep,
Because we love Dan too.
Yeah.
absolutely.
And then Rosary Guild finishing things up on Saturday night. And that Sunday's cool. 2 different Springsteen hours. The 2 guys, Jeff Kavanaugh is a good friend of mine. I used to play in a band called Strangers in the Alps with him and the Frigginays.
Nice.
Strangers in the Alps obviously comes from the censored version of The Big Lebowski. This is what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps. So two Springsteen hours with those with him and Andrew Sotilo. Who used to be actually back in the Sarko days. I remember Bill Franklin, and like the Awkward Silence guys. He was.
Yeah,
he was
oh,
part,
yes,
he was,
that's right.
Yeah, he was part of Awkward Silence.
Right.
Sounds was great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were really good dudes.
We had them as I won't say the name, but a sessions type thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
With
right.
The company that we used to work for.
Yeah.
So he's doing one of the Springsteen hours,
That shall remain nameless.
and then we got Grace's Downfall duo, Ed's wrap up thing, These Elk Forever, open mic.
Brad Parks.
Brad Parks. Thank you. You're helping me.
Yeah.
Can I interject real quick?
She's got a cheat sheet.
Can I interject? I play a lot of these bands on my show on Saturday nights
Yes, you
on
should.
all
you should check
natives. But if I don't and you're interested, please send your music to altnatives@alt921.com.
that. Now, do you play stuff that's maybe maybe not together anymore, but maybe still around?
Oh yeah, as long as it as long as it comes from here. I mean, I play everything that's from here. I'll play Breaking Ben because they're from here. I don't care if you like it or not. They're from here.
Yeah.
Menzinger's, Tiger's Jaw, stuff like that. But like the focus of the show is what you're doing. So maybe we should talk about
Let's do it
a
together.
sponsorship. You know,
Yeah. Absolutely.
But no, seriously, it's we're on the same page as far as like.
And what you guys do on First Friday is so cool.
Yeah.
that is cool.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I'm tied up at the bar. But
No,
I'm
I mean-
always telling
Right.
people, I'm like, go down, check
No,
that
it's
out.
cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's a
we-
free show.
It's a free show.
And it's original music.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then we air it. We air the recording at 11 o'clock.
Which
that
that's rare in
Yeah.
itself too.
And then you guys
to
keep
get
it on
that the
YouTube,
radio
right?
waves.
night. It's on YouTube, and then there's oftentimes on my show I'll play live versions of those
Yeah.
songs too.
Right.
So
really cool.
it's very
Yeah, maybe leading
Full
up, we'll get a whole list of people who have available music that are playing the show. Leading.
well.
up
It's
to
funny. I was just working on the show list today for Saturday, and then obviously the next Saturday is the day of the show. But I was promoting the show, not by accident, but E57 was I was playing their song and I promoted the event there. But yeah. So seriously, if I don't have your stuff, please send it. I would love to play it. So.
Oh, by the way, Joe Callison said Brad once robbed me with a gun. True story.
Wow, it's not that true.
Wow. That's
I don't think it was.
that's
real
messed
gun.
up, Brad.
It was for. I think,
Was it for the door?
Touche.
wow,
Sorry, Joe.
shit got real.
Sorry.
It was for liquor, I think. Yeah, I think I told him to meet me in a parking lot, and then I mean, it was all a joke. I don't think it was a real gun.
Brad, we're dry.
Oh, so
Just one, just real
Okay.
quick.
Yeah, let's.
So we got to wrap up.
So yeah, we got to wrap up. So you got to pick. We have Burning River Pale Ale, which has been reformulated this year to be an farm to table pale ale. All malts and hops come from the Great Lakes region. Our brand new year-round Holy Moses Belgian White, and the raspberry version of Holy Moses Belgian White for the summer season.
Go ahead, you pick.
I'm liking the raspberry.
Thank
That
you,
sounds pretty
Rich.
good.
That's why we're
Yeah.
in this together without Brittany Boo.
Simpatico.
So, yeah, pretty much just a huge thanks to Jen. When everything happened earlier this year, I was on a ride with Paul, and like me and you just locked eyes, and we're like talking about Ed and everything. We're like, we gotta do something.
Yeah.
So like literally it just snowballed from there. We met a couple days or weeks later and just kind of started planning it. It all came together. And this is kind of something I've been doing ever since I was in like 7th grade. Me and my brother Rich, when I was in 7th grade and he was a senior in high school or so, put on something called Gilbert stock. If you're from like the Carbondale area, because horny like Gilbert.
Not to be confused with Gilbert Gottfried.
Not to be confused. we did need his blessing, but yeah, I mean, for 2 or 3 years, we used to do something called Gilbert Stock, where we would donate all the like thousands of dollars to the American Cancer Society. So like it's kind of reminded me of doing stuff like that, going around asking people's time, asking for donations, whether it's monetary, raffle, stuff like that. And so I mean, it was a lot harder to do it back then. I mean, because like you said, it makes it a whole lot easier. Just the venue being the Keys made it a whole lot easier because that's where everybody hangs out anyways.
Right.
That's a lot of the reason you guys have such an attentive audience is because you have all of the best musicians in the area either playing or drinking as audience members there.
Yeah. No, I lucked out with not only with my staff but also with my patrons. You
Yeah.
know, they you walk in there and it's family.
Yep.
You know, whether it's your first time or you're there every day, Especially, I mean, working with you, it was always really cool and being like, hey, I could hang out and like talk cool stuff with people.
It's nice having you on the show finally.
Yeah. Thanks, Ed.
And get some credit, but I definitely asked.
No.
And you're not nearly as awkward as you think you are. You're really not.
No, you did well.
Dude,
Okay.
we're
I
friends.
didn't fall down yet. There's probably
Well, you're sitting.
Cut it.
But-
Well, yeah, that helps.
No, it doesn't.
no, what's funny is we're friends on Facebook. I don't know if you know that or not, but that's how that world works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're friends with people like who? I actually commented on your post today. You're like, oh, I'm going on live, blah blah blah. Like you tagged Rich, you tagged Brad. I'm like, ouch. That was me.
That's because she doesn't know you.
No, I don't know how to like tag people and shit like that.
You
Whatever was
tagged
tagged
him.
in the
You
post.
tagged him. Like,
But whatever was tagged in the post is what tags in mine.
my heart's broken.
I did
Did
see
you
your
tag
comment.
yourself?
I'm like, ouch.
No, he did a pity comment for himself.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know.
He said, "Ouch, ha ha."
I don't pay attention to Facebook either, so sorry. I suck at this.
Kidding.
I'm really bad with. I need to get someone to run my social media.
What's funny is like you're very like
Yeah.
unfiltered,
Yeah, I am.
which is it's hilarious.
And
You're
I'm
the one who
very
cursed the
open with
most
me.
here. The most here.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying her page.
That's
is
because
unfiltered.
we
Like,
take
this-
advantage of the format.
Yeah, I mean, like we know where we are.
Right,
Fuck.
exactly. We're one of the only ones that can do this. The other guys can't fucking do that.
Whoa.
See, normally I drop F-bombs all the time. I'm like, oh,
Me too.
oh,
Oh,
I
yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
And like I was telling you before, I did that thing at the greenhouse, and I was like, okay, don't curse, don't curse. Whatever you do, don't curse.
Immediately cursed.
And now I'm like, oh, I could curse, and I'm like, I don't think I have.
I haven't. I don't think. I mean, I might have cursed once.
Maybe once.
Maybe
That's
once.
I might have
but, like,
cussed.
I just don't think you get to
Behind
call
bars is
yourself an
terrible.
alternative publication if you can't say fuck.
Yeah.
At the very least, like that's like the bottom in terms of qualifications.
Should we wrap it the fuck up?
Yeah, we should wrap it the fuck up. Anybody else? We want to make sure that
Who we
we
got?
get anybody that.
Camera.
Oh, I'm like, what are you talking about? I got beer. What the fuck do you think I have?
Shelley
Nice.
says, "I'll fall for you, Jen. Leave the gravity to me." Well, thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. It was fun. It was a good conversation. Some good beer as well.
Thanks for
thank
having
you
us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So let's give those final plugs for the benefit.
Yeah. So starting Friday, June 15th at 6:00, going through Saturday
And Sunday.
and Sunday. Well, I wasn't done.
Sure.
Going through Saturday and wrapping up Sunday. Who knows what time it's going to wrap up Sunday? The last build performer, I believe, is added at like 6:30 or so.
You can figure 3 hours of music from Ed, so
It could be.
if we're gonna do,
So then open mic following that. Yeah, it's just the entire weekend. Like literally, once work's out till you start getting the scary, the Monday, Sunday scariness.
Well,
But,
that's why you take off Monday.
That's why you take off Monday.
Barstool Sports. I like that.
A couple of things about the venue too. We require everyone to have valid ID. We don't care how old you are. If there is a medical emergency, we want to be able to know who you are and who to contact.
ID.
We've had issues like that happen before. We're not being dicks. We're not trying to be assholes. We just want to make sure we know who you are in case there is an emergency. On top of that, if you're underage, don't even bother.
Unfortunately, that's why Blind Choices can't be playing.
I know, and that sucks for them. But as soon as they turn of age, they're more than welcome to play at the bar.
They're
On
they're
top
great
of that.
kids too.
They're good. They're
Yeah.
awesome
Great
kids.
kids.
They actually played the big ball tournament in Carbondale, and I was catching them in between a game, and they're really really good. We didn't even think about it until I ran into you at Wegmans, and you brought it up. I'm like, oh boy, yeah, that does pose an issue. But
Yeah.
they're really really talented dudes. They were willing to donate their time. Just weren't able to have them. But like you said, if we do this in the future, we
Definitely
I hope,
next
yeah,
time
we
around.
hope to get them again.
We'll definitely include them, and we appreciate them. We appreciate all the bands that are doing this for Ed. All the beer sponsors,
Right.
all of our most of our local breweries, plus Great Lakes, are tossing in some kegs with all the proceeds from those kegs going straight to the family.
Yep. So in addition to all the breweries that are on the flyer that you've known about, we actually just had Nimble Hill sign on. Speaking of Sean O'Day,
Because Sean's awesome.
so yeah, Nimble Hill's in as well. So
Oh, and Sean, I need some of that orange lager because I suck and forgot to email you. Text you.
so what Jen was saying is, when you look on that flyer, any of that beer that you drink that weekend is going directly to the proceeds. Like that beer was donated, and Jen was kind enough to take all that and put it into the bottom line of the proceeds, which is awesome. So that's gonna be big.
Oh, and we are cash only. We do have an ATM, but the first person that hands me a credit card, I'm swiping it up your nose or something. Like, there's signs all around my head that say cash
Right.
only. Come prepared. Don't bitch at me.
Right.
be nice to everybody. Be nice to our staff. Be nice to all the performers.
Yeah, that's something I said in
Be
the
nice
email.
to each other. We will have extra porta potties outside for that weekend because we only have 2 single stall restrooms. Please don't pee in the sinks. Please don't pee in the garbage cans. Please don't.
Who would do that?
You'd be fucking.
I'm
She
kidding.
cursed.
You'd be amazed.
I'm sure.
No,
I'm
that-
sure not in a bar, but I'm sure I've peed in the wrong place. In my,
Oh,
You're lucky you said you've never been to her place, or else.
I've never. So typically, the guys' room is always cleaner than the girls' room. Wherever else you go in life,
yeah.
not in my bar. My girls are pristine. You boys are disgusting. They're peeing in garbage cans. There's like piss everywhere. I'm like, how is this possible? I live in flip flops. I'm like, I can't go in the men's room. Even if I wanted to, I can't go in there. Stop peeing on the floor. Electrocuting that
It's
shit.
splashes.
Flip flops at a truck stop. That's like my worst nightmare.
That's why you don't stop at truck stops.
My body doesn't.
The
my
word
body
stops
does
in
what
the
it wants.
name. I don't tell you.
So make sure you go out and support the next weekend. We want to do it in advance so that we could let everybody know and give them time to make plans and everything like that. And make sure you go to the Keys every night of the week. You guys always have something cool going on.
Yeah, we always have food specials. We always have something. We always have vegan options. We always have something for everybody with any type of dietary restriction.
What time do you open?
We open at 5. So Tuesday through Saturday, we're 5 till 2. Sometimes during the week, if we're quiet, we'll close about 12:30. Sometimes, if it's really nice on a Saturday and I feel like being out, we'll open at 6. We live by island time, and the Keys is called the Keys because of the Florida Keys, and Key West. And everything there goes by ish time. So if I say 5, it's 5-ish. It might be 6:45 when I open the doors, but it's 5-ish.
I know that as a salesman for you.
Everyone's like, I was always on time, and then when I started working in the Banshee, I kind of fell in with that wrong crowd of like, oh, we'll show up whenever, and yeah.
So they didn't have the Keys excuse. Is that like an Irish excuse now, or?
Yeah. my
That's why she
original
needed the
right hand
keys.
man that helped me open my bar, God love him, rest his soul, Riley, like he was 20 minutes late to his own funeral, and I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. I was never on time with him.
And how about this? Me and you were the first ones here today.
I know. Yeah. So I'm like, I can't screw up. I can't screw up.
That's pretty much always the case. I think you hang around with musicians long enough, you start to live by musician time, and that's a whole other ball game. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've never been.
Well, I don't know, because musician time, there's 2. They show up 3 hours early and do a 45-minute drum solo to like make sure their drums are tuned.
Right.
Or else they show up half an hour after the set's supposed to start and be like, oh yeah, hey, we're here.
Right.
I don't think I've tuned my drums since I was 12.
Well, I won't be there the next weekend. I apologize.
You didn't have to say that.
Yeah.
You could have just said you were there after the fact.
No, that's not me though. I'm taking my family on their first family vacation.
Where are we
And
going?
Just going to Maryland.
Yeah,
You know,
cool.
we got a house with a pool, so we don't have to worry about the. I mean, you have a kid. You're one on the way, or
I've got one and one on the way.
oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
but we can guarantee that NEPA Scene will be there with plenty of coverage, including some live streaming as well for you lazy people who never come out to anything.
I'll tune in from Maryland.
So you can at least tune in and check out a couple of the sets. I can't guarantee which ones we're going to do or not do, but we're going to try and do as many as we can. So you can check in there as well, and maybe we could put up a link to donate or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
something I was asked about.
Yeah,
So-
we've been mulling that over. We should probably set
Anybody
something
that
up
can that cannot make it, maybe we'll do something like that.
That's a good
where we
idea,
can
yeah.
get people to donate as well. So
Absolutely.
So
And everything
definitely
is
tune in.
going straight to the family. Like,
That's one thing you can't overstate how much I thank all the bands, and also Jen. I mean, she's opening her business, and literally like that weekend is it's going to be very busy there, but a lot of what's going on, you're being gracious enough to streamline
Yeah.
directly to the bottom line of the benefit, which is insane. So thank
well,
you.
that's what it's about. That's
Yeah.
what family is. That's what we do for each other.
It's cool.
I'm not in here to be a millionaire. I never got into the business for that. I got into the business to help everyone else. You know, we take care of each other.
Nope.
Right. We didn't get into the details, but you know, Doreen's death was obviously unexpected. So, you know, I think hopefully this benefit will not only help everybody financially, but I think Ed is probably still dealing with a lot. So emotionally, we all know how much emotion goes into music and playing and stuff like that. So I'm sure this weekend is probably going to be good for him in an artistic aspect.
And that's the biggest reason why we decided that even after things had transpired, that we wanted to do this, and not just do it as a day or an evening, but do it as a weekend, as a celebration of, you know, her as a person, her as being such a wonderful influence in one of our favorite people's lives.
Right.
You know.
And we did ask Ed to be on the show just so that we wouldn't talk about him the whole time or whatever, but he couldn't make it because of practice.
He's
so.
practicing.
Yeah, he's got a lot to practice for because he's going to be doing
The way we talked
quite
about him, he could just like replay this like at his funeral. It's like we
Right.
eulogized him.
Why'd you have to go dark?
Yeah.
It could have just been like, you know, at his like 35th birthday party.
Now the next time I see him, I'm gonna have to be especially mean to him because you know how like
Stop.
me and him have that.
No, I know. Stop. It hurts my heart.
Now after how nice I've been this entire hour, I'm gonna have to
Jesus.
rib him extra hard.
Going back to beer.
And come on, even Duds says he's going to wear a different shirt for this show, so you should definitely be at this show.
But thank you, Beer Boys, as always. Thanks, Cole Creative. Thanks, Jen from the Keys. Thanks, Brad from Great Lakes and 1,000 different bands.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Thanks
you
for having
guys.
us.
Seriously, thank you for
I
all of your
watch a
help.
lot. It was fun to be here and see behind the scenes.
Thank you. Thank you. And, you know, thank you to the Keys. The Keys has been a long-time sponsor of NEPA Scene and, you know, has helped us out. We wouldn't be here without Jen. So
We love you and
thank
we
you.
appreciate you, and you know all you guys do for all of us on the other side, like on the receiving side of what you guys do. Thank you, because you know I don't pick up the rest of that bullshit.
That's why we're here.
As long as we're making a difference, that's all. That's
You
all
definitely
that counts.
are, and you know that.
Thank you.
I hope you know that.
And thank you to Cole Creative for letting us hang out a little bit longer than usual. So
Yeah,
thank you
sorry.
so much for tuning in tonight. We will see you next week, 7 to 8 p.m. right here on Facebook Live.
But not Brittany Poop.
But not.
Or you're gonna have a squiggle on her face.
Let's get a doll.
A voodoo doll?
Bet you already have one
Real
as a
life
Red Sox fan.
Sex. Oh, all right, you went there.
Really?
Oh, he saved it for the end. He saved it for the end. Burn.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
See you guys.